Hi, I'm Sam, your inner voice and self trust coach for women who refuse to choose between career success and being fully present with their kids. This is Journal Entries, where we break free from self sabotage, reconnect with our inner wisdom, and live truly fulfilled lives in both of our roles. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to Journal Entries. Today, we are talking about to-do lists. I think as well, and have been in this trap, if you will, that making to-do lists is necessary and that just by having one, we're being productive, or we at least feel like we are focused. However, sometimes your to-do list is actually making you more overwhelmed. This was a thought that I've always low-key had in the back of my brain, but I was on a call with my Peace and Confidence Collective, and one of the members who joined, Liz, was kind of having this theme throughout the questions that I was asking her and prompting her through. It was all kind of around her to-do list. And so I wanted to highlight this for you today and really dig into our to-do lists and why they can feel overwhelming and provide a solution for you on how, yes, you can still use a to-do list. I'm not going to be the person to be like, throw your to-do list away, but instead how to use it in a way that actually feels good, feels like you can actually cross things off of it, and that you are actually being productive and that it's helping you get closer to your goals. It's not just another list that's accumulating more things and more things until it becomes out of date, and then you rewrite it, and then you're just back at square one again. So first, these are the reasons why I believe that to-do lists just make you feel more overwhelmed. First is that they get long. Whether you are typing it up or writing it out with, pen and paper, they get long with so many things that we have to do, whether it be things for your business, things at home, or all of it. And it makes you feel like you're not doing enough each day, no matter how much you did, even if you quote unquote ate that frog or, did the biggest thing. And if it was just one thing, but it took up so much of that mental energy and all of it, you just kind of feel like, ugh, I only did one thing. It just makes you feel like you're not doing enough. It also gets so long because you keep adding ideas to it. And we do this because we don't want to forget certain things, which I'll talk to in a second. But then you think you have to prioritize them all. So it's not just this list of things that you have to do, it's this list of urgency. We think, I have to do this all. And then if I don't cross it off, again, I didn't do enough and I didn't prioritize the things that should be prioritized. And then thirdly, we can't even enjoy days off because you're thinking of this master to-do list that you have and you become so attached to it. In fact, the call that I just referenced, Liz was visiting her sister in Chicago, and she did say that she had to do a little bit of work while she was there, but she had this master to-do list on her brain the whole entire time. And she was just very attached to it. And she was worried that things would fall off if it wasn't written down. She told me that she would keep redoing lists once it felt out of date, which felt like then wasted time. Like, why do I even have this to-do list if I know I'm just going to write it all out all over again and waste that time rewriting it and then rewriting it again. And this big list creates paralysis instead of progress. Again, we're just focused on all of the items on it versus taking action. The reason why we cling so tightly to these overwhelming master to-do lists is the illusion of control. We think that if we write it down, it means that we are in control of either tackling that activity or maybe also, maybe both, controlling ourselves. When in reality, the only thing we control is if we're actually taking action on it in the moment, like we're actually doing something towards that item, or if we are delegating that item to somebody else to work on it in the moment, and then also trusting that they are doing it competently. Delegating is something I could do a whole other episode on, because if we do work up the courage to delegate an activity, it's one thing to ask someone to do something and to receive that support. And then it's a whole other thing to release it from your brain space and to trust that they are doing it and doing it in a quote unquote right way, and a way that even if it's not how you would do it, it's enough. It's going to be good enough for you or your business. So those are the two things that we can really control. Just having an item sit there on your to-do list with this level of priority and urgency can add to our stress and give it this false priority. And it can also take away from something else that is actually a true priority, especially if you're tackling the list based on what comes first, like what's at the top of the list versus what's at the bottom. Then you might be prioritizing something that isn't actually going to be a needle mover in your business. I also want to say that I understand the whole process, the whole thought process behind if it's not written down, I'll forget it. I feel like I do not have a very good memory and I forget things all of the time. So I truly feel like if I don't write something down, I will forget it. In fact, with my podcast episodes, I write down an outline because if I don't have it written down, I fear that I will forget it. And even afterwards, I'm like, I didn't say this like one super important thing that I wanted to share because it wasn't written down. So I get it. And you also fear that with to-do lists, if it is a priority, and you fear that you're going to forget it, then you have to write it down, which I agree that if it is a true priority, write it down. And then you can release it from your headspace. A tip that I actually give a lot of women is if something is stressing you out at nighttime, write it down, because putting something on paper kind of releases it from your brain. So there's so much power in just writing it down. However, what we sometimes fall into is when we get this new idea that pops into our brain that we want to pursue, it feels like a priority in this moment because it's this new idea. And it's like, oh, yeah, this would be really great for our business or for our clients or for me and my household. It'll make everything more efficient. Or maybe my son will actually eat this type of dinner, right? Like we prioritize whatever it is that pops up. And so we add it to our to-do list and it feels important. It feels like this great idea that will obviously do wonders, even if most times we don't think through like the implications or how it relates to other areas of our life or other people in our business or other areas of our business. And so we write it down so it doesn't get dismissed, yet this like subconscious urgency gets placed on it without fully thinking through, yeah, but it's actually super low on the totem pole. So, just some examples that are coming to me. Like maybe the thought of, oh, I should clean up the email sequences that I have to be more effective. Yes, that is potentially a really good creative idea for your business. Or creating a newsletter for your employees so that they all get on the same page, or a newsletter for your audience so that they all learn about what's happening this month, or maybe doing a certain post that's viral right now. Or one of Liz's examples was cleaning the office kitchen, task like that, tangible task. For her, it felt like something that she needed to do. And she was like, I really need to do this in between my client sessions. She's a therapist. And she was like, in between sessions, I should do this. But I also feel like I need to prepare for my next client that's coming in. And so she was just kind of thinking like, this is a priority. And in my mind, I'm like, but should it be? Or is there a different way that you can Maybe she has coworkers. Can you set up a schedule so that everyone helps out? Could you, if you have to be the one to do it, could you do it at the end of the day? What is the true urgency here? Could you do it later in the week? The thing is that it's not that these ideas are not important. It's not that we should not take action on these ideas. It's that we do all of this. We prioritize putting new things on our to-do list, which again creates this false sense of priority and urgency on everything on this master to-do list, instead of trusting our current processes and trusting the things that we know will have a high ROI on our time and energy and on what matters of our clients or whatever type of business that you have, that end goal. So, knowing all of this, I was asking Liz if she ever created a daily to-do list instead of this master to-do list that she has. She said that yes, she's tried this, and she basically kind of pulls things from her master to-do list into a smaller to-do list, but she eventually abandons it because of that fear of forgetting things, so that this daily to-do list becomes the master to-do list and it's just long and she prioritizes everything. So here's the fix that I'm going to share with you, which is the fix that I shared with Liz. It actually doesn't have a name. I was going to call it a name right now, and I'm like, wait, it doesn't have one. We can call it the master list plus tiny daily list. Simple because it is what it is, and it actually works. So I'll outline what it is. I usually do this in Google Docs. I love pen and paper. I'm a journal girly, right? And so doing this by pen and paper is fine. However, it's just quicker and efficient. And if you do add things to it, which I'm all for, and I'll tell you how to prioritize things in a bit, it's just easier and quicker to do it in a Google document or even in your phone. So that's how I prefer to do this. And I start off, if this is your first time doing it, I start off with the master to-do list. And I don't call it the master list. I just kind of put to-do list. That's what I name it. And I use the bullet point feature with the check marks so that you can check it off. And when you check things off, it puts a line through it. So that's really satisfying to see the whole thing get like crossed off your list. So underneath to-do list, I will write down all of the things that are on my mind that I want to accomplish. You can decide if you want this list to be just for your business, if you want it to be business and personal, or if you want to have one for business and one for personal, however it is that you want to track your life, really. So you have your master list of the things that you want to accomplish. And then on top or right above the to-do list, I will add the word today. And sometimes I even add the day that it is, like Monday or Tuesday or whatever. And then I move anywhere from 3 to 5 or however much time you have to work that day, and however much time these activities will actually take you realistically. And sometimes I even add more time than I think it will take for these activities. I will choose 3 to 5 of those and bump them up to today. Also, underneath today, I will include things like go to the gym if I want to go to the gym that day, or grocery shopping, things that take time. As women, especially, we do so much that we don't give ourselves credit for. So we might put 3 to 5 business things on our list, and we're not taking into account the fact that we had to do daycare drop off or school pickup and drop off. We also have to make meals for ourselves and for our families. We also have to pick up the house and do dishes. So I will put those things on there so that I can cross those things off too, just because that feels good and it is taking up our time. So then you have your today list. You have other things underneath the to-do list. And then if certain things feel important and I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be underneath the to-do list because it is important, it is urgent, it is a priority, then what I'll do sometimes is in between today and to do, I'll put tomorrow, or the next day, I'll put Wednesday, and I will put some items underneath there. And I know that those are temporary. I can move those if by the end of today I actually accomplish something from Wednesday's list, I'll cross it off. Or if, by the end of the day, I have a new client call the next day, I'll put that there. But if something feels urgent, I will add that for the next day. So that's kind of how I move around things really easy so I don't have to rewrite the list by pen and paper in Google Docs so I have today at the top, the next day underneath that, and then the master to-do list. Underneath that, I have something called tabled. This is the list for things that don't need to be on the to-do list that is urgent whatsoever, but it is an idea that I had or something that I've been wanting to do but haven't gotten to do. And it's kind of like the list that I can review monthly to ask myself, is this something that I should be doing? Should I prioritize this? Do I want to bump this up on the list? Or is it time to release this? Is this just not a priority anymore? And that's okay too. This is what happens when you're writing with pen and paper and you rewrite your lists over and over and eventually things just fall off. So this is that list. The tabled list is things that are either about to fall off, which is okay, or things that are about to be bumped up to the to-do list. And then eventually one day you will get to them in the today or tomorrow list. When it comes to prioritizing, you can ask yourself for each item two things. One, who is this impacting? Will this have an impact on myself or my business? And if it has very little impact on both of those, I think it's a very low priority. If it's going to have a high impact on both of those, on yourself and your business, bump it up to the top. If it's going to have a high impact on one or the other, I'd say it's a middle priority, depending on what it is, of course. This is where I love working one-on-one with my clients because I can look at your list and be like, yeah, this needs to be bumped up. Or, with an unbiased, objective view, I can look at that and be like, this has been misaligned. Let's push that to the bottom. But it just feels so important to you. You're in your business every single day, but from somebody looking at it from the outside, it's just easier for somebody else to see where things might be able to shift. One thing I do want to say though is that if something lights you up, if something gives you energy, then you always want to make sure you're incorporating that throughout your day. Something that I have been doing often is giving myself breaks throughout the day. Anytime that I am working and I get this sense of like, ugh, I don't want to be doing this right now. I feel like I should be doing this thing and I don't want to. I literally remove myself. I remove myself from my computer, from my desk, from my office, and I will ask myself, what do I want to do instead? And sometimes it's a different work activity. Sometimes it's doing something like dishes or laundry, especially if there's tons of it, because I know that doing that, even though it's not something fun, it would make me feel better having a clean kitchen. And sometimes it's going out for a walk in the middle of the afternoon, or sometimes I find myself going on my son's swing set and just swinging for literally 2 minutes and then coming back in. I don't time it ever, but that's all I normally need is I go out, I swing, and I'm like, oh, all right, I feel better. I come back in and then I finish. So allowing yourself this flexibility, realizing that stepping away from an activity doesn't mean that you're not going to finish it. It literally will give you more energy and more creativity when you come back, likely just a few minutes later. It's when we force ourselves to sit down and do our to-do list until it's crossed off that we're then draining our energy and depleting ourselves. The last thing I'll say about this list that I love to do, especially if you do that check mark bullet point, is I break things down into tiny activities. So, for example, one idea that I mentioned earlier was email sequences. So, with an email sequence, if you don't know what that is, it's where you have multiple emails sent out. And so, if you are sending out multiple emails and it's all underneath the umbrella of maybe somebody signing up for a freebie that you have. Or, for example, I just hosted a journaling workshop, and anyone who signed up, I think I sent them 3 emails for signing up, like a welcome, so excited to have you. And then another one that was, here's the link to join us, and then a thank you for participating. So in my to-do list, one of my to-do list items was workshop email sequence. And then underneath that, I had 3 like sub to-do list items that were indented. One was email 1. One was email 2. One was email 3. And I probably had the theme of each of the emails. Why I love this is because in the past, I would have tried to do all 3 emails in one day. But emails take me a while to write because I pour my heart and soul into these, even like simple ones. I really try and just be my authentic self and think, what would I want to receive and whatnot? And it takes me a while to write them. And it just feels so much better to separate them out. And then having email 1 means that I could just move email 1 to my to-do list today. And then maybe email 2 is on my to-do list tomorrow, or maybe 2 and 3 is on my to-do list tomorrow. And one of my top sabotage patterns is the avoider. When I think a task is too big, I avoid, and I just push it further and further and further down on my to-do list. And the way to disrupt that sabotage pattern is to break down an activity so that you can see what it includes and then just start tackling it and then celebrate that you didn't do it all. And so this is exactly what helps me do that. I will do 1 email today, for example, and then check that off, celebrate that even though I have 2 more, which in the past I would have been like so frustrated that I just didn't get it all over with, that I couldn't cross it all off of my list, all of the frustration. I would celebrate that I did 1 out of 3. And then the next day I would do a little bit more. So those sub tasks help a ton. So anytime that I can break down an activity into what's actually included, like a podcast even, it's not just recording a podcast. First, it's outlining it. Then it's recording. Then it's scheduling. And now I have an amazing assistant, Effie, who helps with it. But for her, it's editing, and then it's show notes and title, and then it's scheduling. So she has 3 tasks, right? So it's all of these subtasks. So I personally like that. And then again, you get to check it off, and it feels really good to have that type of fulfillment with getting things checked off your list. And last but not least, there is a difference between being productive and feeling productive. You can do one thing each day and choose to feel productive. There are some people who would do one thing and choose to feel like the least productive, worst person, biggest bum in the entire world. Or a different person doing the same activity would choose to see, wow, I had maybe lower energy today, and all I did was go to the grocery store, and I am proud that I was able to do that. Differentiating your to-do list from your feelings and knowing that, yes, you do get to choose or maybe summon how you feel about certain things is so powerful. Your productivity has nothing to do with the amount that you accomplish. I truly believe that. Some of you are probably like, what? That is so false. And I really challenge you to test it out. If that was a hard pill to swallow, or your brain is still like shook up a little bit from that, set up a call with me because I would love to help you see that and more so help you feel that. Overall, I hope that this episode helped you to trust yourself, to remember what's truly important and how to prioritize the things in your personal and professional life while still having a system to prevent overwhelm. So you have this to-do list that actually helps you stay organized and focused and feel good while trusting yourself and removing any shoulds, removing any false urgency and prioritization and trusting your energy and what you are wanting to achieve each day. It's this balance of tangible systems and intuition and trusting yourself and your inner voice. That's what I've been really stepping into these past couple of years. And I feel like I'm embodying it. And it's such a cool feeling that I really want you to experience as well. So if this helped you, I would love to hear about it. Podcasting is so interesting because I have absolutely no idea who's listening. So if you listened, if this resonated with you, shoot me an email at hello@samantha-says.com or a message over on Instagram or Facebook. I'll include all those links in the show notes. And I would also love to hear if you actually try this to-do list, what did I call it? The master list and tiny daily list. Let me know if you try it. I would love to hear how it works for you and how it feels for you ultimately. Thank you for tuning in today, and I will see you on Thursday for our journaling session. Thanks for joining me for today's journal entry. If something resonated with you, I'd love to know about it. Screenshot this episode, share it on social media, and tag me at samantha.s.says. Or even leave a review, which will help more women find this podcast to create more fulfillment in their career and as a mom. And hey, if you're thinking, I wish I could get more of this, I've got you covered. Click on the link in the show notes, which I customize each week based on what we're talking about. And I always include the link to the Calm Mind Blueprint, which are my 5 journal prompts to go from overwhelm to inner peace in 2 to 10 minutes a day. Subscribe so that you catch my Thursday 5-minute journal with me episodes and next week's full episode where we will continue this journey together. I'll see you then.